Throw out my food and lie? Okay, you're going to jail for assault. You might remember me from a post about a month or so ago. I dumped and kicked out my now ex-girlfriend for secretly stealing and throwing out several $100s worth of my food. A few years into our relationship, my girlfriend watched, and subsequently made me watch, an awful movie called What the Health. This led to her going vegan and constantly trying to force me to go vegan. I'm a hobbyist athlete and bodybuilder, and going vegan isn't viable for me. I love meat and milk, and I need my protein. About 260 grams per day of it. Anyway, after several months of her being insane, my milk and meat started disappearing from my fridge and raising my suspicions. I eventually caught her on camera after months of lying to me. She threw out a total of about $400 worth of food when all was said and done. This brings us to yesterday. She's been reaching out, talking about trying to get back together. This is after she literally made a Facebook group claiming that I abused her. I would absolutely never do that. Disgusting lies. And told close friends and family all kinds of horrible stories about me. I decided I was going to get some revenge for her thievery and trying to mess my life up. I invited her over for dinner last night, telling her I had since gone vegan. I cooked her dinner, and she made it clear she regretted nothing and just had to make me see the light about going vegan. So I gritted my teeth and cooked her some tofu tacos with my new recipe, mimicking Chipotle sofritas. She ate 2 plates and loved it so much she demanded the recipe. She continued being extremely rude and admitted that everything else she said about me had been a lie, but that she was very hurt and determined to hurt me too. I recorded our entire conversation on my old iPhone. She tries to get frisky with me after dinner, and I tell her, let me write down the recipe for you before I forget. I write down the words, ground turkey, on an index card and give it to her with a wide smile on my face. She starts freaking out. Now, I had already told my neighbor that, if he hears any screaming, to call the cops. I knew her reaction would be insane because she is an insane person. Long story short, the cops came as she was hitting me in the face repeatedly in the parking lot of my condo. She got arrested for assault. I took the video and put it on Facebook, tagging everyone who was in her Facebook group slandering me. I also added the audio of her admitting all the stories she told me had been lies. It all goes to show, being vegan is just a diet, not a certificate that gives you the right to be some kind of intolerable wannabe life coach. Be a good person. She'll regret that later. So a little background. I met this girl a year and a half ago. She was one of my partner's friends and was friendly with one of his best mates. Immediately, she started glaring at me and started flirting with my partner, completely ignoring me. I later talked to my partner, telling him how uncomfortable she made me and how she was disrespectful. He talked to her, but brushed it off as she was shy. She was not. She slept with every single boy in that group. Months passed, and she had small digs at me. Nothing major, but enough for me to not want to be around her. I had my own issues with the group of friends, later sorted, and was told they didn't know they were doing things. This girl continuously got more and more vicious, calling me names at first, then making fun of my disabilities. I have severe mental and physical health issues. She even went as far to try and look like the victim. Over 9 months ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. My partner and I were going through a rough patch because of this and were fighting. We were both extremely scared. She manipulated the situation to try and make him break up with me. It didn't work, and so she started stating to my friends and the group my partner's friends that I'm faking cancer to stay with him, and that if I did, she couldn't wait for karma to kill me. I'm not sure who does that. She even went as far to make fun of me while my hair fell out. I was so incredibly upset and fed up. Fast forward to now. I finally finished treatment and was starting to feel good when again, she's making up rumors, telling people I'm a drug addict and dealer, that it was all a ruse to get a good prescription drugs, and that I should be arrested. What she doesn't realize is, I have a year and a half of proof that she's been taking, dealing, and smuggling drugs into festivals. Not just for herself, but everyone else who would pay. Where I'm from, there has been a massive crackdown on people bringing in drugs to festivals for themselves, let alone supplying it for others. So I compiled everything into an anonymous email, included her name, address, birthday, etc. Told them how much she'd have, how she'd conceal it, conveniently leaving out everyone else's name. I don't care what people do normally. I was just over with her stuff and sent it to the police. She was stopped immediately at the ID check, refused entry, and cavity searched. She was found with over 5 g of drugs and was arrested on the spot. To top it all off, she resisted arrest and assaulted a cop. She still talks crap about me, but oh boy will she regret it when I go into the police station and report her for harassment, bullying, stalking, and threats against an enabled person. Make fun of my friend and his autistic brother? Where's your scholarship now? Backstory: I started attending one of the best private high schools in my state, and I'm currently in my sophomore year. During the time I've been there, I have become friends with a guy who we'll call Fred. Now, Fred has a younger brother in middle school who is autistic and socially awkward, and he's usually subjected to severe bullying from his peers. Fred's brother is one of the nicest kids I've ever met, and while he does sometimes have emotional outbursts, once you get to know him, he is very charming. Another thing I should mention before the story is that my school does a shadow day for kids interested in coming to the school, and this is crucial to this story. Anyways, enjoy. It was a normal Wednesday afternoon, and me, Fred, and our friends were sitting at our lunch table, talking about stuff like video games and tech stuff. We're nerds. Anyways, one of our friends comes into the cafeteria 5 minutes after lunch started, with a small boy with a pin on his shirt saying, Shadow. He asked if he could sit down and if he could get a chair for this kid, who we'll call Bully. The bully and our friends sit down across from Fred and I, and the conversation continues as normal until Bully looks at my brother. This is what follows. Hey Fred. Hi. Do I know you? No, you don't. But I know your autistic brother. He told me to come and talk to you. Silence. What did you say? Your autistic brother. The weirdo in my grade. He told me all about you and his family. How they're divorced, how you're depressed, how Fred interrupts him and says, What did you say? Huh? What did I say? Did I just spoil to everyone how much of a loser you are? What's your problem with me? My problem with you? What's your brother's problem? Why is he so wimpy and stupid? Why is he angry all the time? Why hasn't your family euthanized him yet? Excuse me? Is it because they're divorced and they can't stand you too? No wonder your parents divorced. They must have taken one good look at you and your brother and seen what disappointments you were. At this point, his guide steps in and breaks up the fight. Fred is nearly in tears and Bully just pokes it in more, until Fred leaves and I chase after him, all while the bully is making crude remarks towards his family. I followed him to the principal's office where he reports the behavior to the vice principal. I help support his claim, mostly because I find that kind of behavior disgusting and I do not want him as a student at the school. We tell him everything the bully said, and by the end the vice principal has a look of shock and disgust on his face. He thanks us for reporting it and says he'll speak to him before the day ends. We didn't hear anything about it for the rest of the day, but after school, the guide called me and Fred on Discord and told us what had happened to the kid. Pro-revenge, activate. The guide, the bully, and Bully's mom were called into the office right when Bully was supposed to leave. There, they were confronted by the head of admissions, the vice principal, and the dean, along with 3 of our friends to serve as witnesses. The vice principal recounted everything that Fred and I had told him and asked the guide and the 3 friends what happened, and the stories all matched ours. Guide and the 3 friends were asked then to leave and wait outside, and what followed was some screaming and crying behind the door. About 20 minutes later, the bully and his mom came out. The bully was crying, and Bully's mom was scolding him. The guide and my friends were called back in and told that Bully would not be attending our school next year. Or ever. Fred was rejoiced, and I was just relieved that we would never have to see him again. But it doesn't end there. We found out about a week later from someone who works close with the head of admissions what Bully not only lost out on going to school here, but also on a $5,000 scholarship due to his academics. But it doesn't end there. The school ended up looking at the bully's list of schools he wanted to attend, and they reached out to them and told them about bully's behavior. All of those schools rejected him, and he ended up losing out on another scholarship. From what I heard from Fred's brother, the bully has to attend public school for high school, which isn't a bad thing, and he is apparently super salty about this. Karma truly is real.